The first time the billionaire noticed the little girl, she was standing perfectly still in the middle of a crowded charity hall, surrounded by noise, laughter, and clinking glasses. Yet she existed in a silence so complete it felt unnatural. People moved around her like a river around a stone, and no one realized that she had not spoken a single word in 3 years. Not when her mother died, not when her world shattered, not even now as she clutched a worn teddy bear and stared at the marble floor with eyes that had seen too much too early. What no one knew yet was that this silent child was about to break a man worth billions in the most unexpected way. Before the story goes any further, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of compassion, please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that might need them most. The billionaire's name was known everywhere. Magazines, headlines, boardrooms, skyscrapers bearing his initials. He had built an empire from nothing, survived betrayals, and buried emotions under decades of discipline and control. The charity gala that evening was routine for him. Another appearance, another donation, another carefully crafted smile. He attended because it was expected, because generosity looked good on annual reports. Yet his attention kept drifting back to that small figure near the wall, the child who seemed untouched by the celebration around her. She was there because her father had been invited last minute. The single dad was not famous, not wealthy, and not comfortable in a suit that still smelled faintly of borrowed fabric. He worked nights as a maintenance supervisor at a public school, and days delivering packages whenever overtime appeared. Life had not been kind to him since his wife passed away suddenly, leaving him with a daughter, who stopped speaking the night they came home from the hospital without her mother. Doctors called it selective mutism caused by trauma. Therapists offered timelines and techniques. None of it worked. The little girl withdrew into herself, and the father learned to read emotions in her eyes instead of her voice. The invitation came through a school administrator who knew the billionaire's foundation supported education and child mental health. The single dad hesitated before accepting. Crowds overwhelmed his daughter, but he also knew isolation was not healing her. He promised her silently that they would leave if it became too much. She nodded once, gripping her teddy bear tighter. Inside the hall, the single dad felt like an intruder in a world polished beyond reality. Crystal chandeliers reflected wealth he could not imagine. Conversations floated around investments, mergers, and philanthropy discussed like strategy rather than humanity. He kept his body angled protectively toward his daughter, shielding her from curious glances. Some people noticed the child's silence and assumed shyness. Others assumed rudeness. No one understood the depth of what she carried. The billionaire eventually approached, driven by something unfamiliar tugging at his chest. He asked the father polite questions, learned about his work, his late wife, and the child who never spoke. The father did not dramatize it. He spoke with the calm exhaustion of someone who had accepted reality while still fighting it every day. The billionaire nodded, offered sympathetic expressions, and moved on. Yet something lingered. That night, the image of the silent girl followed him home. Days later, the billionaire requested more information. He learned about the therapy sessions, the diagnoses, and the prognosis that improvement might take years or might never come. The foundation already funded programs like this. On paper, the case was not unique, but the image of that little girl standing silently in a room full of noise haunted him in a way spreadsheets never had. Weeks passed. Through the foundation, the billionaire arranged a small community event at the public school where the father worked. It was framed as a donation ceremony, but his real reason was personal. He wanted to see the child again. The father was informed last minute and felt the familiar mix of gratitude and discomfort. He did not like feeling like a charity case, yet he appreciated any resource that could help his daughter. The school gym was simple, worn floors marked by years of childhood footsteps. The billionaire arrived with cameras and staff, but this time he felt out of place. The setting stripped him of grandeur. Children ran freely, laughing loudly, while teachers tried to maintain order. In one corner, the little girl sat on the floor with her teddy bear, watching everything without participating. Her silence felt heavier here than it had in the glamorous hall. The father noticed her tension rising. Crowds of children reminded her of the hospital corridors, the sudden separation, the fear she could not name. He knelt beside her, placed his forehead gently against hers, and did something he had done only at home, never in public. He closed his eyes and began to breathe slowly, exaggerating each inhale and exhale, inviting her into a rhythm they had practiced in the dark nights after nightmares. He tapped her hand softly, not demanding attention, only offering presence. The gym noise faded for them. The father hummed a tune he used to sing with his wife while cooking dinner, a melody his daughter had loved before words disappeared. He did not care who watched. He did not notice the billionaire standing frozen a few steps away, witnessing something no gala or boardroom had ever shown him. The billionaire felt his chest tighten. Memories he had buried surged unexpectedly. He remembered his own childhood, raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs, who sang to him when money was tight and hope thinner. He remembered the night she died, how the world continued while his heart collapsed inward. He remembered being told to be strong, to move on, to succeed. No one had knelt in a gym for him and hummed away the noise. The little girl's breathing began to slow. Her shoulders relaxed slightly. For the first time in public, she leaned into her father instead of shrinking away. The billionaire watched, something burning behind his eyes. He realized then that he had spent a lifetime trying to fix pain with money, believing solutions were transactional. What he was witnessing now was not a service or a program. It was love practiced daily, patiently, without guarantee of success. The moment passed quietly. The girl did not speak. The cameras missed it. But the billionaire stood there long after, tears slipping down his face without shame. He turned away before anyone noticed, overwhelmed by the realization that all his wealth could not buy what this father gave so freely. After that day, things began to change. Not dramatically, not magically, but steadily. The foundation shifted focus. New funding went into long-term trauma care that included parents, not just children. The father received access to specialized support, flexible therapy approaches, and community programs designed to reduce isolation rather than force progress. The billionaire did not present it as charity. He framed it as partnership. The father noticed subtle differences in his daughter over the following months. She began drawing more, using colors instead of black and gray. She started sitting closer to other children, listening instead of withdrawing. At night, she slept longer. Her silence remained, but it no longer felt like a wall. It felt like a bridge under construction. The billionaire stayed involved, visiting occasionally without press, without spectacle. He learned to sit quietly, to listen without expecting returns. Each visit stripped another layer of armor he had worn for decades. He found himself re-evaluating success, legacy, and what it meant to truly help someone. One afternoon, during a small art session funded by the new program, the girl drew a picture that stopped everyone in the room. It showed a man kneeling beside a child, surrounded by swirling noise outside a circle of calm. She handed it to her father first. Then, slowly, she extended it toward the billionaire. Her eyes met his for a brief moment, steady and unafraid. Something broke inside him completely then. Not in pain, but in release. He cried openly, not as a billionaire, not as a public figure, but as a human being finally allowing himself to feel what he had suppressed since childhood. He understood that healing was not loud. It did not announce itself. Sometimes it arrived as a drawing, a breath, a shared silence. The girl never spoke that day. She did not need to. Her message was clear in the lines she drew and the trust she offered. The father squeezed her hand, pride and relief flooding through him. He had never measured success by words. He measured it by presence, by moments like this where fear loosened its grip. As time went on, the girl eventually whispered again, at home first, late at night, to her teddy bear, to memories of her mother, to the man who never stopped kneeling beside her when the world felt too loud. The moment was private, sacred, not meant for cameras or headlines. The billionaire carried that lesson into every room afterward. He still built deals and signed checks, but he also knelt more, metaphorically and literally. He listened longer. He funded quieter solutions, and every time he felt himself slipping back into old habits, He remembered a silent girl in a crowded room and a single dad who taught him that love does not demand words to be powerful. If this story touched your heart even a little, if it reminded you of someone who stood by you in silence when words failed, please take a moment now to like the video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps keep stories like this alive. Before the ending, we have a special request. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words matter more than you know, because sometimes the loudest healing happens quietly. Sometimes the smallest acts break the strongest walls. And sometimes a single dad kneeling beside his silent child teaches a billionaire, and all of us, what it truly means to listen.